So Durant always reminded me of Tracy McGrady, but just a taller version of Tracy McGrady. And in February 2010, the Knicks traded for Tracy McGrady. Okay, Tracy McGrady played half of a season, really probably about the last 30 games of the season or so after the All Star break at the trade deadline in the 2009-2010 season. Okay, so Knicks trade for him, and Tracy McGrady's first game as a New York Knick is the first game after the All Star break, first game after the trade deadline, and Knicks are playing against OKC, Kevin Durant's team. Kevin Durant, third year. Knicks are hosting them at the Garden in McGrady's first game at the Knicks. So I'm covering this game, and I have in my head the whole time, right? For the last 3 or 4 years since I saw Kevin Durant play, he always, like I said, reminded me of a taller version of Tracy McGrady. So I was like, you know what? I'm going to do a story on this. So I get to the Knick locker room before that game, and McGrady is at his locker, and he is meeting with the media for the first time. And I walk in there, and there's all this media who is surrounding him and are asking him questions and all that. And so I want to talk to him because I want to tell him, my thoughts about how Kevin Durant reminds me of him. All right, but yes, a taller version. And I want to see if he agrees, right? So I'm waiting there for all the reporters to finish talking to him, asking them their questions. It's a big scrum. I'm trying to pull him. I'm trying to pull him privately really quickly, so I can have a little conversation with him. So the scrum ends, and the reporters are leaving, and then I go up to Tracy. I'm like, "Hey, Tracy, I just have one question for you." And at first, I introduce myself to him. "Hey, my name is Samori." Boom, boom. And then one of the Nick PR guys, they're like saying, "Hey, Tracy McGrady, like that's it. He just spoke with everybody. He gotta get ready for the game." So I say, "Okay, but hold up. I just have one question for him. I just want to ask him one question. One question." So I say, "Hey, Tracy, again, hey, I'm Samori." And I was like, you know what? Kevin Durant, ever since I first saw him play, he reminds me just of you, but a taller version of you, right? So, and then I tell him because Tracy McGrady had won two scoring titles, right, up to that point, and this is Durant's third season. So Durant is about to lead the NBA in scoring for the first time, right? And this is again like February of that season, about 25 games, 30 games left or whatever. Durant is leading in scoring. So I say to McGrady, Durant is leading the league in scoring this year. He's on his way to his first scoring title, and you won too. And so I'm telling him how he reminds me of him. And then McGrady says to me, "Yes, I feel the same way. I agree. Like he reminds me of a taller version of myself." And he just starts talking about why he feels like that, and basically same thing that I was telling him, right? So I'm like, cool. As we hit 12 o'clock, this is WHCR Sports, WHCR New York, 90.3 FN, giving y'all the sports word here in the Big Apple. All right, so then I'm like, bet. And so I go to the Oklahoma City Thunder locker room right after that, right? Pre-game. And so this is Durant's third season. Okay, so he is not superstar yet. I mean, he was he was on his way clearly to being a superstar, but he's not where he is now. Of course, where it's just megastar, right? Because a lot of times these megastars before the game they hide out from the media before the game because they know a lot of people want to talk to them. Sometimes they don't feel like being bothered. They'll deal with it after the game. So pregame, they put themselves somewhere where they can't be seen, right? So, but Durant's third year, he's still a young guy, all right, chilling, and he is in the locker room before the game, and I go up to him and I say, "Hey, Kevin, how are you doing? My name is Samori. I just want to know, growing up, who inspired you? Did you have a player that inspired you growing up?" And what did she tell me? Tracy McGrady. and he starts breaking it down to me. I'm gonna play this for you all, and coming up, I was going to do it today, but I wasn't able to get it all, put it all together. So yeah, so he tells me Tracy McGrady was my favorite player, and he is who I pattern my game after. And that's what I asked him. I said, "Who did you pattern your game after coming up?" He said, "Tracy McGrady." Wow. And so I tell him, "Yo, I was just in the Knicks locker room, and I told Tracy McGrady that you have always reminded me of him." And I told him that McGrady told me that he agreed, felt the same way, right? So I did a story on this. And so, like I said, this is right before McGrady's first game as a Knick, all right? And they're playing Durant OKC. So, all right, Durant, all right, I discover is playing against his idol, right? All right, and his idol's Garden debut. Beautiful. I mean, who else knew that? No one else knew that, but I did because, I did. And like I said, Durant always reminded me of McGrady. So I knew that my hunch was correct, right? And like I said, I never heard anybody else, anybody in sports, any other fan, any other commentator, nobody ever say that Kevin Durant is a taller version of Tracy McGrady. No one, all right? So then the game plays out, all right, and it's a great game. McGrady had the great first game with the Knicks. The game goes into overtime, in fact, okay? Knicks end up losing. The Thunder win the game. So after the game, I go into both locker rooms. I talk with both players about that epic game against each other. It was beautiful, man. It was beautiful. And KD, all right, while I was talking to him, he was talking about how great it is playing in the Garden, how it's so special and all that. So then we know that 2019, when he had the chance to come play for the Knicks, he did not. He went to Brooklyn, him and Kyrie, and I said it then that he and Kyrie were intimidated of coming and playing for the Knicks because playing for the Knicks, there is much more pressure playing for the Knicks, okay? And people were like, "Oh, you're a hater. Oh, yeah, yeah, Knicks are a joke." I mean, a lot of people were big mad, okay? All right, that I was saying that, but I truly believe that. And then as we see how it played out, right? uh, KD and Kyrie, they just brought nothing but drama and disappointment, all right, and unfulfilled expectation and promises, okay?